like, I remember us saying, like, if we make it past this stage, we literally defied odds being with one another, because there were so many reasons why this shouldn't work. I feel like there was so...
Hey C-Fam!
And welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, we are the Clemens. My name is Mayfair.
I'm Winston.
And we're just a couple basically sharing our lives, kind of sharing our journey of getting here, being an interracial couple. We have had a ton of new subscribers recently, so we wanted to do a quick intro, and also we've got our drinks, and this is
ready to toast,
literally, because we just hit 20,000 subscribers by the time this video comes out, which is...
It's massive because
it's crazy.
Yeah, we've only been posting consistently for 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
So to see such rapid growth is, yeah, I think we're kind of blown away by it all.
It's amazing, honestly. And just thank you guys so much for the support. I think in our video last week, in our weekend vlog, we kind of spoke about, you know, dealing with trolls and everything that comes with sharing your life. But honestly, I can't overstate how much more we see and appreciate the people who are touched by the channel, everyone who takes a moment to comment on a video, letting us know part of your story, how you discovered us. We don't even look at it as subscribers, we look at it as 20,000 people who are joining our YouTube family.
Family, man.
Honestly, like, I can't wait to see the milestones that we hit together, when the babies come, when we move houses. So yeah, just take a quick moment to appreciate you guys. But yeah, let's kick into the video, because this is a highly requested one. We're basically going to be sharing our story of how we met. Like, how did we get here?
Yeah, like, this is literally, at least every week we get at least 2 or 3 comments, or maybe more, with people saying, you know, but how did you actually meet? What was that story?
Yeah.
What was that journey? And it is a bit of a, I feel like we could probably talk about it for hours and hours.
Yeah.
But we're going to try and give you like the meat of it and the main essence of how that journey unfolded.
So let's do it.
Should we start?
Let's go.
Okay, let's start with the first meeting. So what was that like? And maybe you can start and then I can build on that. So the first time we saw each other, when, where, why?
Okay, so I think Winston's way better at dates than me, so he can like fill in. But it was it 2018?
It was 2018, was the when, it was in July. I want to say July the 4th, 2018.
You see how good he is with dates. So July the 4th, 2018, this was the first time that we met, and it was in London at a personal development event. So basically at the time, I had just started working with my first coach. I was qualifying to be a life coach, so I also hired a business coach who was going to kind of help me with the business side of things. And Winston also hired productivity and business coach.
Yeah, so I was working with a coach as well, because I was basically in that season where I was transitioning from my corporate job into doing my motivational speaking and my TED Talks, basically being self-employed as an entrepreneur. And so I've been working with a coach for a couple of months to kind of help me set some things up, and also do a bit of mindset work to kind of help me make this leap that felt so huge at the time.
Yeah.
And so I guess our coaches knew of each other.
Yeah, so our coaches knew of each other, and I think that's the funny thing about our journeys. I always think the person that got, like, we were kind of on a parallel path. Like, I was kind of, we literally, I think pretty much around the same time, we were both stepping into a place of helping people personal development wise, and that's how we ultimately met. So my coach ran an event at the time in London, which Winston was also invited to, because his coaches knew my coach. So that's where we met. But it was like, it was a predominantly, honestly, Caucasian women event. So I stood out first because I was a woman of color, and then obviously Winston came. He was like late, I think probably like 25 minutes
I was
late.
Yeah, I drove that day, and I just got stuck in traffic.
When he kind of stride in, obviously I noticed him, everyone noticed him because he was super late, and I didn't really think too much of it, but I had heard Winston kind of mention, because we were in similar circles, at this point. So I kind of heard like there was this guy who, you know, had all of these adversities, and, you know, he's starting his business and speaking. So I kind of heard of him. So I kind of recognized him. I thought like I recognized him, but yeah, that was kind of that. And then we got to the end of that event. There was like a networking section, and we didn't even speak at that event. Like literally, I don't think we had like a single conversation.
I don't think so. Yeah, because it was a bit of it was one of those open networking events. So as soon as they allowed people to network, everyone just kind of started talking to probably people who were nearby or people that they'd spoken to in the previous breaks.
Yeah. Before.
And so, you know, I likewise started speaking to a couple of people who were sitting next to me. I spoke to Coach Emily for a bit. And I'd kind of seen you because I think we were one of the few people of color in the room. So I had kind of seen you, and I had kind of thought I should probably speak to her because she looks like a sister. But yeah, just kind of got dragged this way and that way, probably similar to you.
Yeah.
Speaking to all different sorts of people.
Yeah, and I think being honest, kind of like in hindsight, so I was kind of like speaking to different people, but I actually think I was a bit nervous speaking to Winston at the time because I had never really, I'd never really had many interactions with anyone who was in a wheelchair or had the same condition as Winston. And this is something that I want to say because I think in terms of being people who are actually advocates for inclusion and diversity, everyone starts off somewhere, and it's just about having that like willingness to take people kind of as they are. So even being married, you know, to Winston, someone with OI, I didn't start off kind of like knowing everything about it or even knowing the right things to say, but it was kind of just through that process, which we'll talk about more, of just kind of learning. So yeah, honestly for me, I think I was a little bit nervous to say the wrong thing, or didn't really know how to approach the situation. So
and we're British as well, and I think within British culture, it's even even more PC
oh my gosh, yes.
Some of the other cultures out there. I think Americans are a bit more open and progressive with things, but here in Britain we kind of play it safe a lot of the time. Definitely. Especially if the situation is familiar. And I know because I'm usually on the other side, when I can see, you know, I'm in a room where I don't know many people, or in a networking situation like the one where we met, and I can even see, you know, people kind of looking over and thinking, I want to go talk to that guy, but
literally,
when do I start?
I
have so many questions.
Honestly, so yeah, that was our like basically first meeting. Like no fireworks, we didn't even talk. So little plot twist. It wasn't like, oh my gosh,
it wasn't love at first sight.
It wasn't love at first sight. I thought it was attractive. Like honestly, like I was like, okay, cool, he's cute. But we didn't speak at that event. Did you find me attractive? You saw me.
I did, although I feel like I didn't really get a good look at you that day.
It was a lot.
All I saw was, this girl, she looks like, you know, one of my people.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like we had enough, well, at least from my perspective, not enough FaceTime with each other.
Yeah, we really didn't chat.
Yeah.
And then what happened next?
So let's move on. Let's build on my next point here.
What happened?
Because this is a good one. And this has been a little bit controversial at times. There's been different versions to this one. So tell the people the truth, okay?
Okay.
Who asked who out?
No, you tell me. I led on it, the how we met, so I'm gonna wait to hear your version of events.
So, short answer is...
Oh, wow.
Why you always lying?
Okay, actually, the truth is, we both asked each other out. Okay, and let me explain. Because after that event where we didn't really speak to each other, we kind of saw each other. You know, you thought I was really good looking. I thought, you know, there's a sister, but didn't quite get the opportunity to interact on the day. Okay. And so we kind of left home. And I think, to be honest, if I'm truly honest, there was a part of me that afterwards, I remember driving home and thinking, I really, if there's one person I wanted to speak to, it's probably you. See, I didn't know your name at the time, but I was just thinking, how can I be in a room where there's one person of color and I don't speak to them?
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like a missed opportunity, and you know, to get to know someone who's probably on a similar journey to me. And And then I went home and whatever, and I don't know if it was a few days later or a week later, I don't know, maybe you can help me out with that, is when you reached out to me on Instagram.
Yeah, I think it was literally a couple of days.
It was a couple of days later. So you reached out to me on Instagram and you shared like a really encouraging message, and I was like, oh my god, it's her! It's the sister from that meeting. And so yeah, that's what I meant, like in terms of both of us like asking each other out. You made the first contact on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you're kind of really encouraging, you're kind of like, you know, saying, hey, we didn't get to speak, but, you know, really like what you're doing. You said that you heard about me.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
And how I found his Instagram was we were tagged in a picture from the event. So obviously I saw Winston on that, and that's how I got his contact. I didn't have to do no crazy spy behaviour.
Okay.
So yeah, and then from that, Winston invited me to lunch after I sent that message. So we met up for lunch.
You were late.
It was in London.
Yeah.
I was late, but in my defense, I had to get a train all the way from where I was staying. So yeah, we met for lunch, and
it was actually, yeah, we met for, was it lunch? It was lunch, wasn't it?
Yeah,
lunch,
it was lunch.
Okay, yeah.
And then
we had a good time.
It was good fun.
It was a good time. I remember we went to like a what was it? It was Cot, so that was like a French brasserie type place. Really nice, and I think it was really easy. That's what I remember, because bear in mind, this is the first time we had a conversation.
Properly sat down.
Yeah, we didn't really speak on that first meeting. So this time we sat down, and I feel like when I was waiting for you, when you were running late, I was kind of like having a bit of butterflies, thinking, oh, was this a good idea? Because I'm a massive introvert, and it takes a little bit of time to warm to people and to build connection.
Yeah.
So I was kind of a bit apprehensive, but as soon as you sat down, you know, I just remember a lot of laughter.
Yeah, honestly, and I think I was kind of the same, because I still had the nervousness that I had like when I first kind of saw Winston, but literally within 2 minutes, I was just like, we just got on. Like I feel like we like, it was deep conversations from such deep conversations from the get. We laughed so much. It just felt natural. Like it felt like we'd known each other for literally ages. So yeah, that was the first meeting. Was there, like, at that point, was there anything romantic for you, or were you just like,
nope.
Okay?
No, I don't. Well, let me.
Tell it how it is.
No, after that first meeting, I think I was like, yeah, I think I was just so happy with how it went. I was relieved.
Yeah.
I was relieved. Because honestly, I don't do very well in awkwardness.
Yeah.
I struggle with it, and I was like, oh my god, this is exciting, because I could actually see myself hanging out with this person.
Yeah.
You know, another time, or maybe even building a friendship. And so, but I'd also got to hear your story and kind of hear that, you know, you was at uni or taking a year out from uni, and that you had all these plans to go to New York and do all these incredible things.
Yeah.
I think you was about to release your book as well at that time.
Yeah.
So you were someone who I felt I could vibe with, but because of maybe the way it seemed that our paths were going in different directions, and there was also the age thing, right?
Oh yeah, that's another.
We can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But because there's quite a big difference in our age, I didn't really consider it, because I kind of thought, okay, she's doing some cool things, but she's young, and I'm doing my cool things, but hopefully we'll get to hang out and do a few more coffees, a few more brunches in future.
Yeah, so like Winston said, literally after we met, I think maybe like 2 weeks after that, I was heading off to New York for a few months, and I was just about to publish my debut book, The Becoming. So my mind was just like on so many other things.
Yeah.
And I was traveling as well. I did a few more bits of traveling in that year, because I took a year out of my law degree. So yeah, I really wasn't thinking about a relationship with anyone. So yeah, I think we kind of just did our thing for a while. We stayed in contact via Instagram and stuff. And just
even after you went to New York, we stayed in touch.
Yeah, we stayed in touch for a while. We'd meet up, like if I was ever like in his area, or if he was in my area, like we'd catch up like for drinks or for lunch.
Yeah, I just remember because actually when you was in New York, I got invited to do my first international speaking gig in Canada. And I remember we kind of talked about maybe you could come to Canada or I could come to New York or find a way to meet up on that side. But it didn't quite work out. But I think for me that was another sign that, hey, you know what, this is a friendship that's progressing.
Yeah.
I feel like we're really bonding even through the distance.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm just going to put this down a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think from there, okay, what's the next?
Yeah, so let's talk about the next one. Yeah, so I'll ask the next question and then you can kind of speak on that a little bit. So let's talk about love, Mayfair.
Love. What's that?
When did it hit you? When did it?
Right there.
When did it land for you?
Why am I like? I feel like I'm being interviewed in this. This is a joint. Let me ask you. When did it hit you, honey?
You start. Lady start.
Okay. Look at him. He's just. Also, Winston always in the comments, like I see people asking why he wears his ring on the other hand.
Honestly, it's just more comfortable for me. For some reason, my ring finger on my left hand is a bit slimmer than the one on my right hand. So if I wear it on my left, it actually falls off.
Oh, okay.
It hangs off a little bit loose. So I just put it on my right just to keep it on, really.
So there you go. For everyone who's asking, there's no crazy reason behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did we realize it was love? So yeah, for a while we were just friends. Like we'd catch up like here and there. But it was just a vibe. Like even though we didn't catch up that often, because we were both actually really busy, like building our businesses and doing different things in those years. Every time we did meet up, there was just a kind of connection, but nothing romantic at this point. And then Winston proposed the idea that we start a business together, and this business was Talk Let's Do More, our mastermind, which was basically a place where entrepreneurs could get together, share ideas. People who wanted to start their businesses could get together and share ideas, because we recognized how hard it was in our journeys, basically having to do it alone or having questions to things that weren't easily available, just that community. So he asked me if I wanted to do it with him. And I was like, yeah, like this is everything that I would want. So, and
I'm so happy because I'd had the idea for doing the mastermind and just building some sort of community of like-minded people. I'd had that idea for a while.
Yeah.
But I think I was also a little bit maybe overwhelmed by the whole idea of setting it all up from scratch. And I think I'm quite a visionary person, so I come up with ideas and I can kind of see the big picture. But it's the nuts and bolts and the details that are a little bit harder for me to put into place.
Yeah.
And so as I got to know you, and I think we realized that we were both interested in building community. And, you know, I also kind of realized that you'd be a perfect partner for this because you've got that eye for detail and you know how to kind of, you know, dot the I's and cross the T's. It just felt like a really natural step.
Yeah.
And thing for us to do together. And I'm so glad we did.
Yeah, so it's kind of then that we started spending more time together, a lot more time, because we were obviously planning our first event. We did that event. It was just like a one-off event to start with in London. Even through that process, we got super close because I think we worked as a team, and obviously it was business. But I think even subconsciously we could begin to see like how much of an incredible team we could be together outside of business. He quickly became my best friend like during that time as well. Yeah, he became my best friend during that time as well.
I feel like we were almost dating without not knowing.
Literally, because I think we were going out to restaurants and stuff. Like our business meeting would be like / business meeting / you know, being in the middle of London, like having sushi. So yeah, it was like dating the business.
Yeah. I don't even know if we were like subconsciously doing it or were we tricking ourselves.
I don't know.
But yeah, there's definitely like an element of, it was nice. It was more than just a drab businessy meeting.
And I have to say, even then, before we started dating, Winston was such a gentleman. Like every time we met, he would get me like chocolates or like just a nice gift, a book. Like he was just such a gentleman. Even then, treated me with so much respect. Like would always drop me to wherever I needed to be dropped. So that
top tip, lads. Top tip for the boys.
Be a nice person.
Be nice.
Chivalry is not dead. So yeah, we did that first event.
Yeah.
After we did that event, honestly, it was kind of like birthing a baby. Like there was just something about doing that event together. And after that, I was meant to go back to where I was studying, and Winston was like, "Why don't you just stay in London and we could just chat, and you can get the train the next day." So
Yeah, because we did finish quite late. It was a whole day event.
It was a whole day event, yeah.
And it's pretty tiring. It's almost, you know, if you ever run an event, it's kind of like, it's almost like when you're getting married or when you're hosting a birthday party.
The whole build
something
up
like that, yeah. The whole
it.
build up, you know, making sure everything is in place, worrying about, you know, food, worrying about, you know, people finding the venue and all of these things. And then to actually have to coach people for an entire day.
It was a lot.
It was quite intensive, and so afterwards we were both shattered.
Yeah.
And you were talking about getting a 4-hour train to go back to the city where you were studying, and it was kind of like, you could just stay and go tomorrow. Like,
yeah, but was that the reason that you asked me to stay and hang out? Or let's get this cleared up while we're on camera. Why did you ask me to stay?
I think it was mostly that, but also there's a big part of me that was like, oh my god, because again, introvert. But you know, for me, it was like, actually, this is one person that I just don't mind being around. You know, even more. And we had spent a lot of time together, like in the lead up to the event, you know, phone calls and just making sure everything was in order. And then, but even after the event, I was thinking, yeah, like I wouldn't mind a bit more, like. I wouldn't mind spending a bit more time with this person. So yeah, partly it was to be practical and helpful, but partly because I was quite attracted to the idea of spending a bit more time with you.
Yeah. So, and honestly, I was really happy because we were just having a good time, just vibing. So during that evening, I think that's when the feels started to come. Like I don't know, we just had a conversation where for the first time I felt like I really saw you. Like before we were friends, so I like kind of understood you to a certain extent, like I liked you. But this was the first time I didn't even know how to describe it, and maybe if you're married or you're in love, like you kind of know what I mean. But I just saw you, like I saw your heart.
Yeah.
And I remember literally as you were speaking, thinking, oh my gosh, he is gonna make an incredible husband and father one day. Because there was just such kindness and love. Like he made me feel safe. Like even as I was kind of sharing things that I had never shared before, like he just made me feel so safe and so held. And it was just a beautiful space. And I kind of feel like from then, it was like my eyes just got lifted.
Yeah.
I could not stop thinking about him. And I was like, whoa, like what is that? I was confused because like we're friends. There's the age gap, like how is this all gonna work? I kept kind of being like, okay, Mayfair, like let's pull it together, like if he likes you, you know, he'll tell you, and that's one thing about me, he'll talk more on that. But yeah, like that's for me, that night was when I really saw you and fell in love.
Yeah, and I think for me it was similar, like being in that conversation. I think, and I don't even know how it started because I feel like we did the event. I kind of said, hey, do you want to just stay over, travel tomorrow? And, you know, we're kind of driving home and we're just having our usual conversation. There was nothing,
crazy.
you know, too different about it. But as soon as we got home and kind of settled in, and then it just felt like the conversation went from 0 to 100, like pretty quick. And then all of a sudden I was sharing things and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Oh my God, I'm oversharing. Like, why am I telling her all of these things? I've never shared these things with anybody else.
Yeah.
And there was just something, there was a presence and there was something different about the room that night. And I don't know, like thinking back, it was almost like I was kind of layering myself there, like, you know, kind of trying to expose the true essence of who I am, because maybe a part of me wanted you to feel that.
Yeah.
And almost out of curiosity, you know, can we bond on that level? Because I definitely know we can bond on a friendship level, business partners, but can we bond on that almost spiritual level?
Yeah.
And as soon as, you know, we both felt that different thing in the air. As well for me, it was like a penny drop moment. Like, wow, okay, this needs to be. Could you upgrade me, please? Economy to first class, please.
Oh my god.
But I remember, like, in the subsequent days, just us, the phone calls. Like, you got to talk about the phone calls. Like, I remember this one big phone call that we had after. Was it a week after?
It's like a week, 2 weeks after.
Like 1 or 2 weeks after the mastermind, where, you know, I've been feeling like I was all over the place for a few days. I remember going to work, going to the office. You know, I just look at my screen, but I wasn't doing anything. I was just so.
The love high, like you feel like you're on cloud 9.
Yeah, it's like when you see in cartoons, like the love struck emoji on their face. Like I was
Can't concentrate on anything.
Could not concentrate, could not think. I probably had like a big smile on my face the whole time for no good reason. And then I remember like we had this conversation where you kind of rang me to talk about something else.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, like, I think I had indicated.
Yeah, so he was doing, I call it flanter, like flirty banter. So the way that I am, I need it straight. So I was just like, hey, you know what, you're doing these like flirty ones. So tell me what's the deal, like, because one thing about me is like I just like to have clear parameters and boundaries set. So we had the boundaries thing down, we had the friendship thing down, but I could tell there was like another layer coming. So even for me, for my heart, that's something I always recommend women to do as well. Don't be afraid to have that conversation and ask the dude like, what's up? It doesn't have to be the whole like, what are we conversation, but boundaries are important, and you can only really have those when you know what's up. So I basically asked him like, okay, like what's kind of going on here? And he said, you know what, like, let me take you out for dinner. And let you know my intentions. So that was the plan. We were meant to go for dinner like a week later, and then in between then I called him to ask his advice about something, and that's when the 16-hour phone conversation happened. 16 hours on the phone.
It was a long phone call, and the essence of that phone call, I mean, it was an emotional roller coaster. There was probably laughter, there were probably tears.
I cried.
There was a lot of tears. Happy tears, I'd like to think.
Happy tears. It was like just, love.
Yeah, and I think, again, that was the way I approached that conversation, because I'd had this few days or this week leading up to the phone call where I was, like I said, I was all over the place. I was love struck. I was on the ropes. I definitely knew that I had to act. I had to, say something to you about how I felt, because there was no way I could just reset and go back to how we were before and just be these friends that speak once in a while. And so, on that phone call, I was like, okay, the way I'm going to approach it, and this is maybe me being pragmatic or maybe being a bit like cautious. I was like, I'm going to approach this from the mindset of, hey, Mayfair, I really like you, but these are all the reasons why I think this is not going to work.
Yeah, I remember. He was literally like, here's how I feel, and he was like, yeah, but this. And one of the big things we mentioned, it was the age gap. So our age gap is actually 11 years.
Yeah. So I just turned 35.
And I
just 23.
I'm 23 now.
So it's actually 12 years, like 11 and a half, 12 years. So that was a huge concern. Well, not a concern, but it was something that weighed on my mind, because, and I guess you tend to think of it from your own perspective.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, like when I was 23 years old, I wasn't really thinking about getting married. I was just thinking about, starting a career and stabilizing myself and being financially independent, maybe doing more travel, those kind of things. So I was thinking now, like I'm older, like I'm a big man, old, got a beard, well, a little bit, but
got a beard.
Thanks. And I'm thinking about marriage, and I'm thinking about, maybe starting a family. That's the state that the position that I'm in today. And so why would you be thinking the same way at 23 years old? So I was kind of projecting where I was and trying to think about, how that might relate to where you are. So that was a really massive thing for me.
Yeah, and the age gap was like a big, I think for me, with any relationship, any marriage, it's about deciding that what are the cool things that you want in your lives and do those kind of level up. for me, I always kind of knew I wanted to get married like young. I wanted to experience life with someone, and start a family as well. Not like immediately, obviously, but that was just what I desired. I think everyone has like a different map of how they want their life to be. I'm not here to judge, anyone else's life map, and I hope no one's here to judge my life map. But yeah, I think it was like something, but we always said, so ultimately from that conversation, Winston asked me to be his girl. I was like, yeah, okay. And we started pursuing that. But honestly, we said after that conversation, we prayed about it afterwards, like, hey, let's both just take time to pray about it, got confirmation, and then kind of pursued things. But it was like, I remember us saying, like, if we make it past this stage, we've literally defied odds being with one another, because there were so many reasons why this shouldn't work. I feel like there were so many reasons that, like, the enemy, society put in front of us to be like, here's why this shouldn't work. And I feel like it literally took the strength, the power, and the love of God to be like, nah, like, you two are for each other. So there was the age,
just the dynamic of being interable.
Like there was all of those questions, so many conversations, so many things we had to work through.
Even thinking about family, actually, because at the time we hadn't really met each other's families, and
not in that context.
And of course, typically this is not the relationship dynamic that every family dreams of, or every family imagines for their son or daughter. So we just felt like there was a lot of things we had to address, but through it all, we've had so much grace.
We have. And kind of on that, to bring things to a roundup, we are going to be interviewing some very special guests, because I know you guys are probably curious. What did the family think? Like, what did your parents think Mayfair of Winston? So we are going to bring the parents on for an interview very soon, within the next kind of few weeks.
They're excited to come on.
Very excited. You guys are going to love them. So yeah, that's our next video. And I think with that, we're going to show you guys.
Let's wrap this up here, and definitely it feels like we need to do a part 2. And maybe talk a bit more specifically about the lead up to the wedding, and the wedding itself. Because we got married during a pandemic, and that was again another potential hurdle that we had to figure out. So excited to share more details on that with you.
Yes, for now, thank you guys so much for watching, especially to the live gang. Thank you for being here with us live. We always join on live, grab our popcorn, and just chat with you guys. So thanks for being here. Make sure you do subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next week.
Adios.
Adios.